Yeah, Gregor's back. What are we working on? We have part two, baby. Part two of Poptop Land. What do we have to do to make this work? Because one thing that's become abundantly clear is that this is a series of parts that we're making work. This pop top wasn't originally on this car. These cross braces weren't originally on this pop top. These are your cross braces, or lifters as they call them. So these were packaged nicely with cable ties. But what we've had to do is just put, I've got a packet of longer ones and put one in the middle there, and you just put the knot part on the top there so it's not in the road. You got it pretty smooth across there. So last night I had to put some rust treater on. This one was pretty crusty demon. So you don't want to not have anything holding that up and let it spring out of place. So hence the cable tie just holds it down so it's not under mad tension. So you can see there I've had to, it was an original hole, a bigger one there and there, but it wasn't lining up at all with any of the lifters. This lifter is the only one that's different to the other two, so I'm just going to put it out there and say that this has to be the back one. It's only got a single spring in it there. It's just a bit different to the other two. The other two are identical, so we'll mount that on the side and put this one on the back. And so what I've had to do is mark the holes in the fiberglass there and drill a hole, mark it out and drill it out. So then you need to do that. Just got to mark out where we've got to drill into, and you'll see in a second where it comes out on the other side. Action cam. So you can see where I've been this morning putting rust treater on everything, on both sides of the roof and all down in there. We drilled some holes in that sill down the bottom, pumped it full of rust treater all in anywhere there. Let gravity do its work in through there. So and this one we actually had the space to put some rust treater between the roof and the pop top, so I just flooded everything. That's, you're just better off to put it everywhere, and it doesn't matter, you're not going to see any of it, but it gives it more protection and get longer life out of it. If the factory went to this effort, then we wouldn't be doing so many rust repairs on them. But anyway, we spoke about the downside to some of these pop top conversions. So yeah. Anyway, so this is our new holes poking out through there. So for strength, you want to have a nice size washer on the back of there. So you want to run the bolt through the base of the lifter, one at each end, and then have a washer, a big washer on the back here, and a nut on there, so it's basically bolted through. That's going to be the strongest. It'll only need a little M6 bolt or something, but that's better than just putting a normal bloody wood screw in there. But another thing I noticed is that this has stepped out a bit. This aluminium here is out a bit from there. So what I'm going to do is actually put a washer in this side as well. So I'll put the bolt through here, sit a washer on the back of it, and then feed the bolt in through, and then have another washer and bolt on the other side, nut on the other side. So yeah, it's probably not a bad idea to, you don't want to be putting any old stuff in, you put it that way. So you want to be putting new, fresh bolts in. You can use stainless if you want, but zinc is usually enough. So we might have to drill holes for all of them, seeing as these holes were not the OG ones. So so yeah, so that's the first thing we've got to do. So I might chuck it on time lapse now and show you a bit fitting this lifter at the back here. All right, bye. Chaos as usual. Yeah, so just had to take that phone call then. What are we doing? So we're now got our lifters in place. So let's talk about how these ones went in. The back one, you can see there, we used some long M6 bolts. They're just Phillips head ones, and they're bolted through the back there with a nice washer on them. And there's plenty of excess length there, so they're in nice and tight. So then we thought, oh, we'll just bolt to the sides here. And what we've found is that the bolts didn't go through enough, like they weren't low enough to go all the way through. So there would have been no way of getting a nut on them, basically. So what we've done is I've used some big screws. They're about 2 inches long and they're threaded, and it's just gone straight into the back of this here, where there's timber laid inside fiberglass in there, so it's screwed in there solid. And I just drilled a hole in there and added a second one just for stability. So these do rock like this. The base is super sturdy, but that'll rock around until the roof is mounted on it. So we're actually just about ready for that now. So we had to do the same on this side, just use those screws. And there was a couple of old holes that were in the fiberglass in behind there. Hang on. Bo, what are you doing? Come on. Yeah, so the so instead of leaving anything open like that, it's just best to seal it up. So the pop top would have to be up, like if they were camping, and water would have to be getting down, hitting this here and running down, and you don't want it seeping into any holes where it's not welcome. Keeping the water out is the main priority here. So that's what we've done there. We've got that bolted nice and solid. So we're just about ready now to get the actual top part of the pop top, which is sitting outside, and basically plonk it down on top of the roof here, and it's going to sit against these here. And when we've worked out where this, well, we know how this mounts. This basically, you run a screw from the top of the pop top down, like a long bolt rather, and then nut it on the inside there. Yeah, so that's what you've got to do to have it sit. But you've got to, these move around, of course, right? So you've got to move them to where you need it first. You know, this is all sitting on an angle, but it's irrelevant. So once you move that up, release the cable ties, then yeah. So that's why I use the cable ties. It holds that in place there. And then when you snip that, you can just pull them out from underneath. So happy days. So that's what we're going to do next. When I do go to lift the top on the, sit it on there, I'll put it back on time lapse so you can sort of see how that goes. So that last bit of time lapse footage is probably a little bit ordinary because I sort of, moved the camera a bit late and didn't have the best angles. But anyway, you get the idea. So just with these ones here, we put a little washer in behind it, like just to bring it out a bit from there. But we will see how it all comes down. Once it's the pop top's bolted to it, then I'll be happy then that we can move on to the next thing, and that's fit the hatch on the top of it. So that is the plan, yeah, I'll check back in when we're ready for that. Okay, bye. Right, Gringos here with, sorry, just get the dust off the screen. So we're back to putting this top on, and after a few dilemmas with the old lifters, so you can see the rusty old ones there. We've got some brand new lifters. I got them off eBay, they're from a pack. So I've undone them. Yeah, so, and I've just put a cable tie on it. That's your safety device to make sure it doesn't slip up too much. So what I'm going to do is replace each scissor at a time. Each lifter can be done one at a time. So I don't think the holes are going to line up. No, so I'm just going to centralize this as best as I can, and we'll obviously be putting new holes into it, but it should actually do all the lifting as it has to. So looking at it another way, if you were going to, how did I do it? Yeah, so if before putting the top part of the roof on, you could, so let's just say you've started and you've got the base glued down as I've shown in the first video. And then if you go into this stage now, you could have the top ready to lift on. But what you could do is bolt on your lifters on the base first, have your cable tie arrangement here, just slip that around, hang on, cable tie, oh, if I press it down that might work a bit better. Yeah, so have the cable tie to restrict too much movement there, start off with, because the springs are pretty strong. So you could bolt the base on, I'll just have it sitting like I've got it there, and then I would bolt on all three of them, all three bases bolted on, all three lifters bolted on with the cable tie on there, ready to go. And then I would get the two people, see, unfortunately I can't show you all this because just due to time constraints, we've already put this on and mounted it, etc. But it's turned out to be not a waste of time, but I mean, I've got to redo it. So after doing that, and the not so much the struggles we had, but learning from that, that I would bolt these on. Like if you wanted to do it the other way, you could bolt these onto the roof first, but that's a bit of a pain getting it up underneath there when it's nothing's holding it up. So you'd have to put it on a stand or something like that. And so you could do it in this reverse order. It probably doesn't matter too much, but the point is that yeah, you could, if you had all three of these bolted up, all three lifters bolted up so they're sitting like, and they're all about the same height, and you should be able to lower the top down onto it, and then someone inside could sort of cut the cable ties and then get it up to a working height where you can have enough room to bolt this on from the top. So that's what I'm going to do. So I use like a bolt with a long M6 bolt, I think it is, that comes through here. These ones are great compared to the old ones because there's a cutaway section here, so you can just put a nut easily underneath. Whereas before, you either had to sort of have skinny fingers and put a nut in under there, or do what I do, drill right through and have a nut on the bottom through ease of access. But these will be easier again. So, all right, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get these mounted. And I've been just using these long screws here and like screw them direct in, because there's in the back there is all a piece of timber in there wrapped in fiberglass, so that's where all the strength is. So I'm going to put 4 of those in. Like, you've got 2 holes there, might as well put the 2, yeah, 2 and 1 actually, 1 at the back and 2 there. So that's what we're going to do with that. And then bolt it down from the roof, and I'll put a washer on there, and then when that's all, everything's done and we're how it should be, then you get out with the polyurethane sealant, same stuff as we used on the base, to stick it down and go around anything like up there that's a screw, or anywhere where there's an opening for like the little Poptop base thingy. So no, what do you call it, the little lid that opens up in the Poptop, you know, I've got that sealed up 100% all the way around. That's what you want. So I guess I could just put this on time lapse, sit it up there on the stand and see how we go. I suppose we can do that. So let's see if it works out. Okay, bye. Righto, we're all done. It's all sorted. Well, almost all sorted. We've just got to screw a couple of handles in the top there on each side so you can pull it down. Yeah, so this is, we've got the new seal on with that nice rubber cushion underneath, so that sort of sits in the gutter and along the, you know, the front and back, well, all the way around, and it just makes sure there's no gap there when it's all pulled down tight from the inside. So you can see here, just got a couple of bolts that run through under and poke down there with a nut and a washer on there. That's basically how the crosses are, the lifters are fastened. So because we actually changed the lifters from old ones, you can see the holes don't line up with the old ones, so these sort of holes will be patched. Yeah, you can see a bit further along the top there. Sorry about the flickering of the fluoros. So yeah, we've got this nice seal on. You have the joint at the back, obviously. You can put a bit of black urethane down there if you're that way inclined. But yeah, all this around here will be checked, all the gaps will be checked again, and then we'll probably even smooth a bit of urethane over the top of the rivets, just so that we're 100% sure that everything is waterproof as. So yeah, and that will be touched up with paint. When I sprayed with rust proofing between the skin of the, between this skin here of the pop top and the roof itself, so there's like a double cavity there. This is the only spot where it actually ran out. I don't know whether you can pick that up there, but like as in the rust treater ran out there, so I know that this is the only spot right round where the gap wasn't 100% sealed. So that's all sorted. It's looking pretty good with the new headliner in place. Mick did a great job from M&S Johnson Upholstery. The sock was already there on the pop top that was supplied with this car. So although it's a little bit dirty, other than that, it's actually still in great condition. All the windows, it's got nice big windows on it, and zips and everything are working. So the canvas just needs a bit of a clean, but that's okay. Oh, and another thing I thought I'd mention, underneath there, that's how they're all sort of finished. It's just like the fiberglass with its gel coat on underneath, and they never finish it nicely. So I always like to put a coat of paint underneath there, even a coat that's brushed on. It's just, the only time you see it is when you're camping. That might only be a few times a year, but the point is when it is open and you look up, you know, you see all this nice clean roof and everything painted and all that, then why would you leave that like that? So just a simple brush coat of acrylic or something will do the job in there for something that you might only see now and then, but yeah, worth doing. So that's the process. I hope it's of help to anyone who's doing it themselves, so they get an idea. You can see up there where the bolts come through. So the main aim is to get this down, like drop this down now, and then check the top where there's any screw holes going through. You want it at 100% sealed. So, and you don't want to seal those up with just filler. You want to use a urethane. So I just use a white urethane on there and then just touch it up with a bit of the paint. You don't see up there, like even if you're 7 foot tall, you still wouldn't see on top of there, but the point is that it's keeping the moisture out. So that's what you want. We had to take this top off, different arrangement altogether. This is like a small hole cut for the car down there, Daisy. This is where you can actually stand up in, and that's all storage that's above the roof. You can see all the timber cutouts to follow the roof shape. So we removed this today. We had to do some repairs on the fiberglass there. Yeah, just working on that. So now we can clean that up and paint it, and it's getting a new sock ride around it, and so it's just another form of pop top. It's a different setup. This is more of a homemade setup almost, but they've got the profile of the roof nice because it was a good seal all the way around it, and there was no rust basically, because this base part doesn't sit in the gutter like that one does. It sits up on the roof a bit, and that means it has no way of trapping any moisture. So yeah, so something a little bit different. Not even sure whether the whole top's homemade, or I've seen other ones on photos where they're similar, but this one ends right at the back of the car. Bit of an odd shape, but it's certainly works well as a pop top. So this is Toowoomba's looking very nice tonight. Yeah, I just thought I'd have the shakedown video of it all done, more or less. So another thing it will have to do in there is some straps to lock it down, so they'll have to be screwed in up the top, and some across there on the fiberglass, so that stop it from popping up when you don't want it to. So yep, that should be everything covered. So we almost had to do the job twice, because we initially installed the lifting brace that all the braces, they weren't any good. You don't know often until you put them in, but these ones are nice and straight, as they should be. They're not the cheapest things in the world, but yeah, so we can't wait to see how that goes up and down smoothly. I think you can spray a bit of lube in the tracks down the bottom, but that's basically how it's mounted. So tomorrow's job, all the glass is going in tomorrow, but that's not till tomorrow afternoon. So tomorrow's job will be make sure that I've patched all the holes on the top. So just make sure that's 100% on, you know, around these screws and that sort of thing. It's just a matter of wiping some polyurethane around the perimeter so that there's just no chance that anything can get in, any water anyway. All right, that's all for now. So we'll catch you later on. Bye.